You reach for your phone the moment you wake up, before you've fully opened your eyes, before you've spoken to anyone, before you've even processed that you're awake. Your hand is already moving toward the nightstand, fingers searching for that familiar rectangular shape. Check notifications, scroll Instagram, refresh email, swipe through messages, all before your feet hit the floor. You tell yourself you'll just check for 5 minutes. 2 hours later, you're still in bed, thumb moving automatically up the screen, consuming content you won't remember 10 minutes from now, feeling simultaneously stimulated and empty. At dinner, your phone sits next to your plate. Face up. Always face up. Because what if something important happens? What if someone messages? What if you miss something? The conversation happening at the table feels less urgent than the possibility of a notification that hasn't arrived yet. You check your phone 60, 80, maybe 100 times a day. Not because anything important is happening. Not because you're expecting critical information. But because not checking feels wrong. Feels incomplete. Feels like an itch you desperately need to scratch. And when your battery dies, or you accidentally leave your phone at home, the panic is real. Physical. Your heart races, your palms sweat. You feel disconnected, anxious, almost like you've lost a part of yourself. This isn't just a bad habit. This is addiction. Real, measurable, neurologically identical to substance addiction. And tonight, I'm going to show you exactly what's happening in your brain, why tech companies designed it this way, and why you literally can't stop even when you desperately want to. Before we dive deep into applied psychology, subscribe to the channel. Tell me in the comments where you're from. Jessica Martinez was 28 years old when she realized she couldn't remember the last time she'd gone an hour without checking her phone. Not sleeping hours, waking hours. Conscious time when her phone was available and she chose not to look at it. She couldn't remember because it hadn't happened. Not in years. She worked as a marketing manager, told herself the constant phone checking was professional necessity, needed to respond to clients, monitor campaigns, stay connected to her team. But when she actually tracked her usage using her phone's built-in screen time feature, the data was devastating. 6 hours and 47 minutes, average daily phone use. Over a third of her waking life spent staring at a screen. And the worst part? She couldn't stop. She'd tried. Deleted social media apps only to reinstall them hours later. Set app limits, then overrode them. Left her phone in another room, then found excuses to retrieve it. The pull was too strong. The need too overwhelming. What Jessica was experiencing wasn't weakness or lack of willpower. It was the result of sophisticated psychological manipulation designed by some of the smartest behavioral engineers in the world, optimizing for a single metric: engagement, time spent on device. And they'd succeeded by hijacking her brain's reward system. Dr. Anna Lembke, psychiatrist and author of Dopamine Nation, explains that smartphone addiction operates on the exact same neurological pathways as gambling addiction, drug addiction, and other compulsive behaviors. The mechanism is dopamine, the neurotransmitter associated with reward, motivation, and pleasure. Every time you check your phone and find something new, a like, a message, an interesting post, your brain gets a small dopamine hit. Not a massive surge like cocaine, but a reliable, predictable reward. And just like slot machines, the reward is variable and unpredictable. Sometimes you check and find nothing. Sometimes you find something amazing. That variability is what makes it addictive. B.F. Skinner, the famous behavioral psychologist, discovered in the 1950s that variable ratio reinforcement, rewards delivered unpredictably, creates the strongest, most persistent behavior patterns. It's why gambling is so addictive. You never know when the next reward is coming, so you keep trying. Tech companies applied this principle deliberately. Pull to refresh? That's a slot machine lever. Infinite scroll? Removes natural stopping points. Notifications? Unpredictable rewards delivered throughout the day. Red badges with numbers? Visual triggers that create anxiety until cleared. Every design element is optimized to keep you engaged, to make you check just one more time, to ensure you can't easily disengage. Jessica's brain had been trained, over thousands of repetitions, to associate phone checking with dopamine reward. The behavior had become automatic, unconscious, triggered by any moment of boredom, anxiety, or transition. Waiting in line, check phone, Commercial break, check phone. Awkward silence in conversation, check phone. But here's where it gets darker. Doctor, Lemke's research shows that repeated dopamine hits actually change your brain's baseline. You develop tolerance. The same reward that used to satisfy you no longer feels sufficient. You need more frequent checks, more stimulation, more novelty to achieve the same feeling. Simultaneously, your brain's ability to experience pleasure from other sources diminishes. Real-world interactions, nature, books, hobbies that used to bring joy start feeling boring in comparison to the concentrated dopamine delivery system in your pocket. Jessica noticed this in her own life. She'd always loved reading novels, but now she couldn't focus on a book for more than 10 minutes before feeling restless, needing to check her phone. Conversations with friends felt less engaging than scrolling through strangers' posts. Even watching movies required simultaneous phone use. She couldn't just watch anymore, had to multitask with her second screen. Her attention span had been fragmented, her capacity for deep focus eroded, her ability to be present compromised. Research from Dr. Gloria Mark at UC Irvine found that it takes an average of 23 minutes to fully regain focus after a distraction. If you're checking your phone every 10 minutes, you're never actually achieving deep focus on anything. You're operating in a permanent state of partial attention. This affects memory formation, learning capacity, creativity, problem solving, emotional regulation, essentially every higher cognitive function. Your brain is constantly in shallow processing mode, never going deep enough to create meaningful neural connections. Jessica's breaking point came during her niece's birthday party. She was nominally present, sitting at the table, but spent the entire 2 hours scrolling through work emails and Instagram, barely interacting with family. When her sister asked her to put the phone away, Jessica felt genuine anger. Defensive, like someone was trying to take something from her. That reaction scared her. She sounded like an addict being asked to give up their substance. She decided to try something radical, a 7-day phone detox. Not completely without the device. She still needed it for work emergencies, but deleting all social media apps, turning off all notifications except calls and texts from family, and committing to keeping the phone in a drawer except for 3 designated check-in times per day. The first day was genuinely difficult. She experienced what researchers call nomophobia, fear of being without mobile phone contact, anxiety, restlessness, phantom vibration syndrome where she felt her phone buzzing even when it wasn't there. Her hand reached for the device automatically dozens of times. Muscle memory so ingrained she had to physically remind herself it wasn't available. But something interesting happened on day 3. The acute anxiety faded. She started noticing things she hadn't noticed in years. The details of her morning commute, the full taste of her coffee, the nuances in conversations when she wasn't simultaneously monitoring a screen. By day 7, she'd read 2 complete books, something she hadn't done in over a year, had genuinely present conversations, slept better, felt less anxious overall. Her brain was recalibrating. The dopamine receptors that had been overstimulated were recovering. Her attention span was rebuilding. Her capacity for presence was returning. But here's the crucial part. When Jessica reintroduced social media apps on day 8, the pull was still there, weaker but present. Because the apps hadn't changed, the psychological manipulation was still built in. Her brain still had the learned association between phone checking and dopamine reward. Lasting change required active management. She kept all notifications off permanently, deleted apps from her home screen so access required deliberate action, set strict time limits and actually honored them, created phone-free zones, bedroom, dinner table, first hour after waking. Most importantly, she identified her triggers. Boredom was a big one. Any moment of understimulation triggered the urge to check. Anxiety was another. Stress made her seek the numbing distraction of scrolling. Social discomfort, too. Awkward situations prompted phone escape. By recognizing these patterns, she could intervene consciously. Feel bored? Choose a different response. Take a walk, call a friend, sit with the boredom instead of immediately medicating it with phone use. 6 months later, Jessica's average daily screen time was down to 2 hours and 15 minutes. Still significant, but a 70% reduction. More importantly, her relationship with the device had fundamentally changed. It was a tool she used deliberately, not a compulsion that controlled her. Dr. Cal Newport, author of Digital Minimalism, argues that the solution to phone addiction isn't complete abstinence but intentional use. Deciding in advance what value the technology provides, using it for those specific purposes, and resisting all other engagement. Your phone isn't inherently evil. It's an incredibly powerful tool that can genuinely improve your life, connection with loved ones, access to information, productivity tools, creative expression. The problem is when the tool starts using you instead of you using the tool. The average person checks their phone 96 times per day, once every 10 minutes of waking life. If you're spending even 4 hours daily on your device, that's over 60 days per year, 2 full months of your life staring at a screen. The question isn't whether you use your phone, it's whether you control your phone or your phone controls you. If you can't sit through a meal without checking it, can't watch a movie without scrolling simultaneously, can't go an hour without feeling anxious about missed notifications, you're not using a tool, you're feeding an addiction. The good news? Neuroplasticity is real. Your brain can change. The dopamine pathways can recalibrate. The learned behaviors can be unlearned. But it requires conscious effort, deliberate intervention, and honest acknowledgement that you're fighting against systems designed by experts to be as addictive as possible. You're not weak for struggling with phone addiction. You're human, with a human brain, responding exactly as evolution designed you to respond to variable rewards and social connection cues. The technology just hijacked those evolutionary mechanisms for profit. But awareness is the first step. Understanding the neuroscience, recognizing the manipulation, seeing your own patterns clearly, that's where change begins. Your attention is yours. Your time is yours. Your life is yours. The phone is just a device. It's time to remember who's in control. And that's the end of our experience. If you enjoyed the video, please leave a like. It's very important for us to know the truth. Be honest in the comments, leaving creative suggestions so we can improve the quality of our content more and more. Comment where you're from. Check out the video on the screen. I'm sure you'll like it. See you in a few seconds. We are Applied Psychology, and this is our contribution. Subscribe.